Everybody surrenders to something. It's just in our natural way. If it's not God, you'll surrender to people. You'll surrender to money. You'll surrender to, things. You will find an idol in something we are created to worship. You will find something that you will surrender to. You can sit here and say, I don't really believe in this whole thing. Like I don't need to completely, I'm myself. I'm me. And I don't really need someone to tell me that I need to lower myself. I'm me. Come on. But man, you are surrendering to something. Whether you choose it to be God or not, you are surrendering to something. Inevitably, sometimes we begin to surrender to ourselves, and we ourselves become God. How disappointing could that be? I mean, I know if I'm my own God, I'm going to mess things up all the time. I mess up all the time. Today, I couldn't find one of my shoes, and I was like, where is my shoe? And if I would have cleaned my room a little bit better, I'd be able to find my shoe. Right? So I'm looking around, tossing stuff everywhere. I'm trying to find my shoe. I cannot be God. I don't have the ability. I don't have that ability. But man, sometimes we kind of make ourselves God. We don't have the ability. We don't have it. You have to choose to surrender. If you don't choose to surrender to Christ, then you will choose to surrender to chaos. If you don't choose to surrender to Christ, you will choose to surrender to chaos. You will surrender to something. You just will. Surrender, it's not the best way to live, it's the only way to live. Nothing else works. Nothing else works. No other approach works. Well, what does that mean? I keep saying the surrender word. I'm saying it this morning because I want you to get it. Surrender looks like saying, here, take it all. I surrender everything to you. Everything. I'm surrendering myself. God himself said, I am equal to God, but I will not cling to that. I will surrender myself. Surrender. Matthew 23:1. The greatest among you must be a servant. Jesus said this. I want you to imagine it. All the fishermen are hanging out with Jesus, right? All the disciples. And he's like, hey, this is the truth. The greatest among you should be a servant. And so Jesus, of all people, he's going around and healing people. He's praying over people. He's doing all these things. And he's physically showing what it looks like to be self-sacrificial. And then he tells these people around him, the greatest among you will be a servant. Well, if I'm going to go over here and sit next to Joseph, and I'm going to have a glass of water in my hand, and he's thirsty, the greatest among you will be like, I'm going to hand him my water, even though I'm thirsty too. Because it's no longer about me. I will surrender to whatever it is in me so that someone else can be better, can be fulfilled, can move forward. And hopefully someone would move forward, and their life will be better because of my surrender. See, it's never really just about us. Understand this morning. To dream awake will then just crazy you'll have this moment where you begin to just have this ripple effect on other people's lives, and your surrender will then begin to influence and affect other people in a good way. Imagine what it would be like in a room full of people when everyone was just self-centered and no one really cared about anybody. I mean, you probably can imagine it. Maybe it was your workplace. I don't know. Nobody cared. I'm all for myself. It's all about me. Change that up. When we begin to dream awake, we begin to surrender ourselves. God, make me a servant to all of those. God, change my heart so that it's not just about me anymore. And I don't want to cling to me anymore. I don't want to worship me anymore. I don't want to worship these other idols in my life. But God, I want to surrender to you so that I become a servant to many. And because of that, God, things are changing, not just in my life, but to every single person I meet. Dream awake to surrender. Amen? Amen. Romans 12:1. So, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind that he will find acceptable. This is true way of worship. This is truly how you worship him. To give yourself, to say, God, surrender all of me. And you know what? It's going to be like that every other day. You're going to wake up and say, okay, I messed up yesterday. But today I'm waking up. God, I surrender all of me as a full body of worship for you. God, I surrender. Dream awake. your dreams are not coming true. These things that God put inside of you, these dreams, these passions that he placed inside your heart, they're not coming to pass. God, I thought you were real. Have you surrendered? Can you really say, God, I surrender all of me. I lay down all of me at your feet. Take all of me. Dream awake comes first with surrender. Fully. This is heavy this morning, and I knew it was going to be, so that's why I like to preface with I'm just thankful to be here with you guys. I love you all. Oh, you caught that. But dream awake. Surrender yourself. Sometimes it might take years, but eventually you will discover the greatest hindrance in God's blessing in your life is you. The greatest hindrance in God's blessing in your life could possibly be you. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. Like the things that we do over and over again, it's like, it's just like a wall. And we hit this wall, we hit this wall. You know what that wall looks like. You probably have painted it because you've seen it so many times. Might as well make it look nice. It's in my life. Right? Dream awake. Surrender yourself. Give it all to God. Your past, your present problems, your future issues, the things that you can't control, the things that you've never been able to control, the things you still can't control. You were 5 years old. You didn't have any control over that. But you have control over you right now, 25, 26, 27, 35, 40, 45, 50. You have control over what you do now. Choose your course. Say that with me. Choose your course.
Choose your course.
Choose your course. 3 things that keep us from surrendering. I'm going to talk about them. There's 2 people I want to talk about in the Bible this morning. One's Gideon. He's one of my favorites, and he's not like this superhero dude. He's actually one of the people in the Bible that just kind of like, he doubts God over and over again, and God still uses him, and so it's cool because I doubt God over and over, and somehow he still uses me, and some of you guys are like, that's totally me, like I mess up all the time, and God keeps using me. I don't understand. Because that's who God we serve. The moment you surrender, he begins to use you. And he doesn't ever look at you and say, you're not well done, you're not good enough. No, you surrender your heart, all of a sudden, God begins to move through your life. And you're like, God, I can't believe you're using me for this moment. Gideon, Judges, chapter 6. You want to slide there? I don't have any scriptures up on the wall for this one. You know that. I hooked you up this week.
I like it. I really do.
I don't know if I can do that every week. But
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. I mean, that's, I don't know.
That's nice.
All right. Okay, good.
Don't get used to it.
I gave her like a list of scriptures to go by because usually I'm like, Slide, just go to the next one. Go to the next one. Her nickname's Slide. It's ironic that she does the slides. But, Judges. First, I want to talk about these 3 things. These are things in your life that you can apply to yourself right now. This will show you, have you got to a place where you are not at a place of surrender? Well, let's just talk about these 3 things, and there's plenty of them, but let's just talk about 3. 1, what does your private faith look like? What does your private faith look like? When no one's watching, when no one's around, and you have an option of praying and like spending time with God, do you do that? Or do you turn on Call of Duty? Or do you do that? Or you go do something else? Or you go and you just, do something else? Your private faith. What does your private faith look like when no one's around? When it's just you, and you have a choice to have a moment with God? Do you do it? That's how we'll know if we're surrendering. These 3 things here. Number 2, progression. When you accepted Christ in your heart, right? When you said, "Okay, God, I'm gonna do this with you." When I was a kid, I went through it, but now I'm older and living my life. I have a family. I have all these things. I wanna surrender to you. I want to live for you. And you've been going to church, and you've been get involved every once in a while. Different things. You'll maybe volunteer for different things. Has your walk with God progressed? Has your relationship with God changed your life to where if I knew you at A, and you're all the way over here at T, because you have moved through life, and you have progressed, and you have grown? Or are you still chilling in the A and B section because you haven't grown? Are you following me what I'm saying? Yes. So are you way over here still at the finish, at the start? Because the finish line's way over here, and if there's no progression going on in your walk with God, you have not fully surrendered. And I'm not talking about the fact that we mess up. No, we do. Why? Because we are not perfect. We get that. We don't need a shirt that claims it. It just is. We're not. But man, when you were walking, you were surrendering your life to Christ, there should be a progression that begins to happen, a change that takes place in your life. And all of a sudden, things start to change and look different. And the person that you used to be, it's no longer that person. The things, the choices that you used to make automatically, like your go-to place, it just begins to change and it looks a little bit different than when I first met you. Progression will show you where you're at with surrender. Number 3. The nothing you can do. There's nothing that you can do. There's nothing that just you can do. If you're at a place in your life where you have that, I got this, I can take care of my own, I have to handle what's mine, it's my life, so I have to, the only one who I got is me. The only one to depend on is me. If it's really just about you, and it still is just about you and what you can do and what you can do to move forward in your life and your goals and your money and your time and your job and your career and all these things, and it's you and it's you and it's you and it's you and it's always about you. If it's you, if it's always about you, what I can do, what I've done, what I'm doing, then you're at a place where it's not full surrender. 3 things. 3 things. Gideon. 6:25. Gideon, he's a prophet in the Bible. I love how Jesus, or how God talks to him, and he pretty much tells him what he is before Gideon even believes it. Like he looks at Gideon one day and he says, "Hey, you're a warrior. You're a mighty warrior." And Gideon's like, "What? Are you talking to me? I'm out in this field trying to make this steak, this goat steak. I'm over here like cooking some stuff up, and you're looking at me and saying I'm a warrior. Are you crazy? Like there's plenty of warriors you can go talk to." He's like, "No, you are." Have you ever been to a place where God looked at you and he said, "You qualify," even when the whole world said you're not? Have you ever been at that place where God looked at you and said, "You have something special about you. There is something you were meant to do," and the whole world, everyone, your family, everybody's like, "I don't see that." Or maybe he's looked at you and said, "You are great. You are full of wisdom and strength." And you yourself say, "I don't see that, God." He says, "I see it." Gideon 6:25. The night the Lord said, "Take the second bull from your father's herd, the one that is 7 years old, pull down your father's altar of Baal." Now, I want to break this story down for you really quick. So, what had happened was, all the Israelites were freed from Egypt. You guys know the story, because I'm going to talk about Moses a little bit today too. So they're wandering around. They're freed from slavery at this point. But then all of a sudden they start to worship different gods. And we know that the first and second commandment is there's no God above me. You're not to worship idols. But the people that were freed up began to worship different gods. Gideon's father had an altar for a different god. Gideon had confliction going on in his life, because he saw people in his life worshiping a different God, but yet this God's saying something to him, like speaking to him. It's moving in a different way. So the first thing God does is say, "You want to move forward and be the mighty person I'm looking at? Get rid of the other gods in your life that surround you. Get rid of them." So what does Gideon do? Move forward here. Cuts it down. 26, "Then build an altar for the Lord here on the hilltop in the sanctuary, laying the stones carefully." Moving down, 27, "So Gideon took the 10 of his servants and he did that." I'm just going to paraphrase, just flow with me on it, okay? Sorry. "Early the next morning, as the people were coming into town, they began to stir. Someone discovered that the tower was broken of the God that they had been worshiping." Well, this is what begins to happen. Thank you. This is what begins to happen. When you go into your past, you go into what's surrounding you. Maybe it's generational things. Maybe it's stuff that's been haunting you, and it's just kind of a part of who you are. It became your hashtag, your trademark, who I am. And God's saying, "I need you to go and get rid of all those things before I can become who I am to you." Are you guys following me? You got to go get rid of all that. No, you're all good. Me and Anthony went to high school in Ohio together. Yeah, we got that Ohio vibe, huh? That's why you wait. That's true. So he goes in and he like destroys this altar that was for a different god. And then if you follow me, so it says that early next morning, as the people discovered it, they were looking around. It's been broken. They're mad. They rush to Gideon's dad and said, "Who did this? Who did this?" Right? 29. And after asking around and making a careful search, they learned it was Gideon. So then they went to the father and they said, "Bring out your son." The men of the town demanded, "Bring him out! Look what he did! He ruined everything that we worship." Have you ever been in a place, and this is when you'll know you're surrendered, when people in your life are looking at you thinking, "Wait, this is this never was a problem before. You didn't have a problem doing this before. What, you can't go to the club now? Oh, you ain't living like that now? Oh, what, you too good for me?" Do you know what I'm talking about? When we begin to go back and start to knock down old idols in our life, some people are going to be a little upset about that because they don't want you to. They don't want that surrender to happen. I sound like that one rapper. They don't want to see you have surrender. They don't. They want you to remain in that place. True surrender will happen when you begin to go back and say, "You know what? God, you are the God of my life. I will knock down every other idol that I have created around you because you deserve the praise and the honor and the glory in my life. And there will be no other God above you or before you ever." Knock them out. Right? And so, moving forward in the story, "Bring out your son," they said. And they're like, "We're going to stone him to death. Look what he did." Right? Judges 31. So Joash shouted out, that was the dad of Gideon, Hey, chill out, right? If your God, if this God that we've been worshiping is God, let him defend himself. What are you doing? So then all the people are like, "Oh, well, you gonna throw that line out at us, huh?" Right? Then at that moment they have to back away a little bit. Because then they realize that the destruction of that God isn't going to come to pass to become reproduced. There is nothing going to happen because they know the truth. There is only one God. They knew that when they were freed up from slavery. Follow me on that. There is only one true God. They already knew that when their ancestors went through that big Red Sea and they talked about it. Their grandma was standing there, "What are you doing, boy? That is the wrong God. Who are you worshiping?" You will worship something. You will surrender to something. And it's time, if you really want to know where you're at with your walk with God, if your surrender is where it needs to be, is knocking down the old idols. And some people are going to say, "Why are you doing that?" But I guarantee you this, they will know the truth behind why, even if they don't say it. "I came to give you life and give it more abundantly," Jesus said. Do you believe that this morning? Is that a yes?
Yes.
It should be. I know he has for me. I was talking to Anthony this week about like our past, like our lives. And I'm thinking, man, God, where I was at, and where I am now, and the things that I've been through, and to where I am now, it is like a miracle in a sense, like to say, some of us are walking miracles in here. Like we are here, we are breathing, we are living. I don't know how that happened, but God, you had a plan for my life. And so every day, it's something that I have to choose to do. I have to wake up and say, "God, I surrender to you." And some days, I'll be honest with you, I don't. Some days I just go back to sleep. I'm like, "God, I really don't want to, I ain't trying to do nothing today." I wouldn't mind playing some video games. I do like video games. I'm not just joking about that. I wouldn't mind, not, getting to your word for 2 hours like last night, because that was long. I gave you enough time already. I mean, this is real. Sometimes I have moments like that where I'm like, "God, I'm trying to pray to you, but I'm having all these other thoughts. I need to text a couple of people, and I need to probably do some other things. I have some other my own responsibilities I need to take care of." And so I'm going through these motions, but every day it's a surrender. Every day it's a choice, and you make an active choice in which direction you are going to go. You do. Choose your course. Choose your course. Following me? Gideon. And I will do a part 2 of this next week to close out with Gideon because of time. But Gideon, he destroys his idols. What does he do? Can you imagine what Gideon did before that happened? I want you to. Gideon, he's not like a warrior physically. God calls him one, but he doesn't have it. Like, he's not like guns to the wall. Like, he's like, you know, for him to look at God and say, no, I'm not. What are you doing? Automatically tells you he truly doesn't believe that about himself. He's not that. God sees it. He sees it in him. I want you to picture that. He goes and he says, okay, God. He probably is carrying this stick and he's like, okay, I'm about to do it. All these people are going to reject me. All these people are going to reject me. And he's carrying this item that's going to knock down this old idol that everyone's worshiping around him. He's like, okay, all right. Okay, can you imagine what he starts to do? Okay, I'm a mighty warrior. I am. I'm a mighty warrior. I'm a warrior. That's what he said. I'm a warrior. I'm going to do this. I'm a warrior. I'm going to go. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not a warrior. No, I'm not. If you know Gideon, you know that he second guesses God over and over again. That's his story. That's us. So he's like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to knock this down. I'm not going to go by myself. Can I get 12 of you guys? Can you guys come with me? And so he rallies all these people. They come with him. Right, okay, we're knocking this down. Can you imagine them? They're looking at, imagine who he picked. Right? These are people who are kind of like, I'm imagining he went and picked people that maybe nobody else would have picked too, because that's what God does. He begins to use you to then go out and go find people that nobody else is paying attention to, because you yourself are paying attention to the dream that God put in you. And all of a sudden people around you are beginning to dream awake a little bit. That's how it works. So they all go, and they knock that thing down, right? And for a second they're like, yeah. Woo, yeah, that's right. I'm a warrior, I got this, right? That's what they're doing. So Gideon goes back the next day. They find out. Can you imagine what he looked like when he peeked through the tent like this? It didn't say that Gideon came out and said, it was me, that's right. Right here, you want to talk to me? Huh? No, it says that they finally found out that it was the son of Joash. They found out. Gideon wasn't like, it was me. You want to look at my hands? I did it. He wasn't. Matter of fact, he stayed in the back, and his father was like, maybe you should let, if you're upset about this, can you imagine Gideon like, yeah, talk to my dad. Right? So even in our moments where we're like doing these things, and we're like, gosh, let me just say this to you this morning. Even if it's just a small act of faith and you're moving towards something greater than yourself, God will work through that. All it takes is a surrender in your heart. And it's not about you at the end of the day, because your imperfections run deep, right? We all got them. Man, it truly is about the surrender of your heart. Where are you at with your surrender? Where are you at in your private faith? Where are you at in your progression? And where are you at when someone says, it's not about you? Can you say, you're right? Or do you say, yeah, it is actually? Surrender comes in those places. God is patient with us in our faith, in our progress. He is patient in our process. He is patient with us when we are still processing. Have you ever tried to download something you are running late somewhere, right? Or upload pictures and it's taking forever. And you're like, okay, I gotta go. I need these files. It's taking forever. And for some reason, you think by walking away and coming back in 5 seconds, it's gonna be more percentage downloaded, and it's not, right? You start okay, let me close some things. Let me just move stuff away from the computer. Maybe this will go faster. Let me click on some stuff. It's not happening. It's all about the progression that's happening here, right? Good thing God is not like that with us. He looks at us and says, you are processing. You are in progress right now. I have patience in this with you because I know the outcome is great. You guys following me? Mm-hmm. Gideon, it's okay that you doubt this. It's okay. I understand you are a warrior. I'm waiting for you to see it. When it's at 100% and I can pull that file out, you'll know. You following me? Mm-hmm. Surrender. Dream awake. Choose your course. Say it with me. Choose your course. God is patient in our process. He sees us before we see us. He sees us. He sees the complete process. He sees the 100% mark. You ever had like your phone die on you? Like about to die? You have somewhere to go. You have no car charger. Right? It's like in this decisive, like you're in this place, this real deep decision. Am I late? Or do I stay and just get 5% at least? Because it'll take me at least down the street. We've become so like attached to our phones, and I'm like that. So don't. I'm not trying to play myself here. Like when my phone's dying, I'm like, ah, what am I gonna do? I can't live, right? But imagine like how that is with Him. If we were like that in our surrender to Him, like God, I don't want to unplug from You. Like even the place I'm in right now, where my battery's low, if I unplug from You right now, I'm gonna die. I don't want to unplug from You. Even if I don't get to where I'm thinking I should be, God, if it's not with You, I don't need to go. Follow me on that. Surrender. Deepest parts of you. Say, God, I surrender. And you could see it in my private faith. And you could see it in my progress, because I'm no longer who I used to be. Right? I know it's not about me. It's totally about You. Amen? Amen. So in that faith process, Jesus is with us. We move down to verse 36, 37. After this happens, then God tells him, all right, now I want you to go in and I want you to knock out all the Midianites. I want you to just take over the land. So first it took Gideon letting go of all the different idols in his life. And then it took him moving in faith and actually being like, okay, God, like, do I really want to do this? And so we see that Gideon begins to like test God. Like, God, if you were really serious, okay, I'm going to put this little carpet down. And in the morning, if it's wet, I'll know you're telling the truth. Right? This is what Gideon does. Read the story later. Okay? So, he wakes up. You know what Gideon did when he got out of bed, right? He went straight to that rug. Looked at it. It was wet. Oh, God, I don't want to bug you with this. You're a mighty warrior, Gideon. What are you doing? You're a warrior. What are you doing? So you want me to go and get rid of all these people that have been here for a long time that, they're like totally like, they're warriors. Like, we aren't. Yes, you are. Okay, God, if you're serious, then I'm going to put this rug out again, and if it's wet again, then I know you're telling the truth. What is he? He's faithful. He's faithful in the process. He is there. He is like, okay, go ahead and do it. We're at like 62% right now. We're good at, God looks at us, he sees 100%. He's loading. He still has faith in him, and he's still there through the process. Gideon is getting closer and closer to surrender at this point. So he puts it out, and it's wet again. So he says, oh, gosh, maybe you're really serious. All right, I'm going to get like 22,000 warriors with me. Because that's what we are, right, God? We're warriors. And he's like, yes, you are, Gideon, you are one. Imagine, like, God at this point, come on, Gideon, just get it together. I got you. I see what you are. Imagine that in us. Can you imagine that when God looks at us like, what are you doing? I see more in you. You know it. You feel it in here. Right? So then we move on. 36 and 37. Then Gideon said to God, if you are truly God to use me for Israel, then as you have promised, then prove it to me. So he says that, and then he puts the wool fleece down on the floor, and if it's wet with dew in the morning on the ground, if it's dry, then I will know that you were trying to help me. So then it's dry, blah, 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 blah. We move forward, and this is what Gideon's doing. It's just like moving forward. He's like trying his best to like test God. Is this really what you want? Yes. I love this part. 39, Gideon said to God, please don't be angry with me. But let me make one more request. I want you to picture it in you. Just don't be mad at me. But I got to ask you this one more time. And God, don't be angry with me. Can you imagine like the things that God did before him? He probably was like, please don't be angry with me, okay? But I've got to ask this of you. Right? So he says, This time, let the fleece remain dry on the ground. So 40 says, so that night God did, and Gideon asked. God did as Gideon asked. The fleece was dry in the morning, but the ground was covered with dew. So Gideon, like I said, had no choice. He got up the next day and said, okay, I'm gonna get this army together. I mean, this is crazy. Can you imagine it? And so now we see that it really was never about Gideon. It was always about God. Follow me on this. 22,000 men, he rounds up. God says, hey, that's way too many men you got going on there. Gideon's like, what? What do you mean? It took me a long time to get all these people to come with me. Believe me, it's hard to convince them, right? He's like, yeah, that's just too many. God's like, that's just too many, Gideon. We need to let some of those go. So he dropped them down to 10,000. So Gideon's like, all right, I got 10,000 men here. He's like, Gideon, that's too many. It's just too many. What do you mean? I've got this covered. I went out and did this. I did this. I got that. I did this. This should be good. I'm doing it. It's all good. I have it. I got this. Surrendering to the me. Surrendering to yourself. And God said, no, you need to let some go. It's actually 9,700 of them. Just tell them to go home. Can you imagine Gideon in that moment again? I really want you to follow Gideon's personality because I really think it's like this. What? Wait, God. You want me to let go of 9,700? You want me to have 300 people with me to go in there? Yeah, I do. You're a mighty warrior, Gideon. What are you doing right now? 300 men. 7. Verse 7. Judges. Still. The Lord told Gideon, with these 300 men I will rescue you and give you victory over the Midianites. Send all the others home. So, Gideon collected the provisions and rams and horns and other warriors and sent them home. But he kept the 300 men with him. What we see here does not happen is Gideon doesn't say at this point, wait, God, I don't know if I should do that. Can you show me that? See, at this point, he's made a progression in his faith. Following me on that? At this point, there's a progress that's happened. He's on that like 98% level. You know what I'm talking about. When you're at that 98, you're like sitting there like, okay, come on, we're close. It's on that 99% on the load. You're like, it's coming, it's here, right? He's there. He is no longer saying, okay, God, I don't trust this. Can you show me something else? He's saying, okay. Takes his horn, says, let's go, men. We got business to take care of. We're warriors, all right? So he walks out. All of a sudden, he starts walking in his warriorhood, his warriorsome self, and he goes and he conquers with 300 men. Takes back the land. What did it first start with? Letting go of all the idols, tearing them down. Second, personal faith, private faith, progression. There was a depth that was happening. He was no longer the same Gideon, was he? He was no longer the same Gideon that was standing out in the field, and Jesus said, God said, you're a warrior, like he said it to him. He was no longer that. He was that. He was a warrior of God, and he was going and he was taking that land. He was no longer doubting that. He said, okay, I got 300 men. God gave me 300 men. It's not about me anyway. It's about him, and he will get all the glory. I surrender all to you. What does your surrender look like? Because if your dreams are held up behind your surrender, then maybe it's time to start looking and saying, God, I surrender. Amen?
Amen.
Success is determined by God's power, not ours. In our trust, he proves himself. You can do all things, Philippians 4:13. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And that doesn't mean like the scripture that's like, I can do anything I put my mind to because Christ has strengthened me. No. You can do all things through Christ so that if he called you to it, he will see you through it. Not necessarily all things that you want to do, but things that you are called to go through. Through Christ, you can do it. Surrender. Choose your course. Luke 18:27. What is impossible with man is so possible with God. I love that. Jesus looks at people and he looks at me and he's like, what are you talking about? What is impossible with man is possible with God. Do you believe that today in your life? Are you at a place where you're like, man, I really want to grasp this. I really want to grasp this. I'm not even at that place right now where I've even got to the place where I'm even having private faith. Like, I don't even have that. Today could be that day for you to dream awake and surrender yourself. Well, how do I do that? You let Scripture light this morning up. You let Scripture light your life up. Psalms 119, 105, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Get into your word. How do I surrender? Get into your word, and God will speak into your heart. He will. He will light you up. It will be more than a highlighter on a piece of paper. He will light you up and speak into you because his word is life. Right? Make God a priority. Stop facing life casually. Be faithful. Life is a privilege. It's not a plague. Stop waking up every morning thinking, I don't want to live. My life is terrible. Like, everything about it is miserable. I don't even like anybody. Man, if you stop living like that, you realize that life is a privilege. It is not a plague. It is a gift from the living God. He gives it to you. Yeah, you can be in a funk, but get out of it. Make today that day where you're like, I'm out of it. I've been wasting too much time being in a funk. Life is a privilege. Amen? Amen. It's a gift. What are you doing? Are you doing what you're born to do? Are you doing what God has placed you to do in this life? And if you're not there yet, are you working to it? Are you working towards it? Are you working for it? Are you moving towards it? Dream awake to surrender. Change your bad environments. Do you know that bad environments will destroy a good destiny? Your environment does have an effect on you. Example, I went camping like my first time by myself without my dad and my mom. Like, it was like when I was in my younger 20s, and I'm like, I know how to make a tent. I got this tent thing down, right? So I'm like getting, like, I have a bunch of friends. We're like setting up tents. I will never forget this. I will never forget this. I did not brush the ground before I put the tent up. Like, I didn't sweep out the area like my dad had done, and like I used to hate that we had to wait there forever like for him to do it, right? So I didn't do that. I was like, this is a perfect place. So I put that tent down. You know, it's taking forever, all right? So that whole time I was camping, can I just tell you, there was a massive pointy rock that was like stuck, like right up in the middle of the tent. Like, I don't know why I didn't see it. I just did it, right? So I began to like sleep around the rock, like position myself different. After the first night experience, the rock was like in my rib. And I was like, okay, I'm not sleeping on, and I'm not taking this tent down because that took me too long. We're only here for 3 days. Why would I take the tent down? I can sleep around the rock. So I'm like curled around the rock. I'm laying around opposite. The rock is taking over dominance in my tent, right? I'm not even sleeping well. The environment in which I chose to lay in affected my life, even though it was not surrounding, it was around, I was surrounding it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So the environment that I chose to sleep in, to be around, it was affecting me. I was waking up, people were just eating bacon and eggs, just happy, and I'm just like slowly moving. Like, I was like 20, okay, and I was like this, like waking up, like just slowly getting out, because this rock was defeating me every night. I can't believe that. Your bad environment will change your course of destiny. It will destroy it. Choose wisely what you surround yourself with. Choose wisely what you sow. Choose wisely what you put in the ground. Galatians 6, 7 through 9. Don't be Don't be misled. You cannot mock the justice of God. You will always harvest what you plant. Always. Always. Those who live only to satisfy their own sinful nature will harvest decay and death from sinful nature, but those who live to please the Spirit will harvest everlasting life from the Spirit. So let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing. We don't give up. Progress. In our process, He is faithful. In our surrender, He is just. Moses, he was standing, this is in Exodus. Moses, he was standing by a rock, and all these people were thirsty around him, right? This is the same stick that he had to touch the water and it separated. They're all thirsty. They're like, I'm thirsty. So God said, take the rock and strike it. The water will come out of it. And so it did. So all the people around him were drinking the water. Understand, the moment that you begin to surrender yourself, the idols in which you have worshipped, the life that has you at a dead still, there is no progress going on. And a place in your life where you are just all about you. And you're willing to say, God, change all of this and make this about you, not me. God, let there be progress in me. Let me move forward. And when I'm with you by myself and no one's around, God, I pray that I have a time with you that is just like crazy. Like, God, I want to spend time with you that begins to change me. Don't let this be about me on a Sunday morning, but never on a Monday morning. Surrender. Moses, he hits the rock. Strike it. He struck it, and all the water came out and it blessed everyone. Your life is waiting to be a blessing to someone else. Watch this video.
And here we stand, toes wet from the dribbling Jordan lapping at our feet, our digits in river, our heels on sand, fearful our journey might end in defeat. For the river seems to move more jaded, not fluid as it did when we first crossed its flowing sheets upon its bare bed that was made naked by that famous prophet's cloaked feet. For his strength was ample when he took up his mantle and struck the water's solid beach. But now here we stand, our feet in sand, and all we want to do is retreat. We've all stepped up to this stream and heard the current of voices rushing through our heads that make our legs forsake his dreams for the sake of our screams. He couldn't have met me, we hear ourselves saying. I'm too weak, too ignorant, too meek, too indifferent. I'm too sinful, too lost, too simple for this cause. I'm a lawbreaker, a God traitor. I'm not fit to do this noble labor. And God looks down upon us wild excuse makers and says, no, you may not be great, but I in you is something greater. And that's when we start to remember when we received our call, that dream within our depths with which we are enthralled, and how for such a purpose God has withdrawn us away from the normalcy which formerly charmed us, how we left the idols to which we used to bow, as did the prophet the farmer's life disavowed, and in a holy act of sacrifice we too took up our sacred cows and left them all behind, burning on the plows. Now here we stand, toes soaking in the Jordan, God's mighty cloak in our hand, his power our fortune. This river is our proving ground to test whether our calling is certain. Our purpose lies on the opposite shore. Where we stand sits complacency and boredom. Now, at this point, you may begin to feel burdened, but remember, you do not fight this battle with your own strength, but with his whose victory is already determined. These waves may be weighty, but his power is weightier. Your doubts may be binding, but he will be your vindicator. The torrent may be rushing, but he will be your savior. The call you receive may be great, but he who shall accomplish it is far greater. Now, take up your cloak and with all the strength you can squander, lay everything down and strike the water. God himself will be your partner as the waters begin their departure. Your waves of guilt and apathy will turn to walls of his adequacy. Your floods of fear and doubt will turn to ramparts of Jehovah's shouts, and stretched out before you there will be not a raging sea as there was hitherto, but a solid path of confidence, and you'll make solid prints of providence as you march on to what you were born to do. So to all of you, sick of playing it safe, getting by on good behavior, God is saying to you that he has something greater. To all of you dreamers, disillusioned by the desire to be a world changer, God is saying to you that he has something greater. To all of us Christians who want Christ but not his cross, just want him as our Savior, God is saying to us that he has something greater. He is saying, lay down your lives for the life of your neighbor. Give in to the demands of enemies and of strangers. Be the world's lover, though they be your hater. Sacrifice your bodies, not just your behavior. He is saying, show love in your flesh, not just your Bible's paper. Be the shattering of rods and the yoke's breaker. Make allies with weakness and be power's traitor. Develop a distaste for strength, while meekness you shall savor. He is saying, be a peacemaker, suffering saver, forgiveness curator, justice laborer, grace vindicator, true love translator, and his people shall answer. We will burn the plow, strike the water, be the good life slayer. We will be a church unsatisfied with being great, but we'll make ourselves nothing to make him something greater.